for the Iron Throne. I mean, he
But
could
that's
seize
where-
it, but he'd need
Well,
to get
that's
a
where
lot
the
of...
Varys stuff comes in,
Right.
right? So you have this claim. You already have the stories from the North. This is what he did at the Wall. This is what he did in the far North. This is what he did at Winterfell twice with the Battle of the Bastards and against the Dead. This is what
But I
he
feel
has
like
done.
word doesn't get around that quickly in those days. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I think a lot of the crows got sent out, and people know, If they believe is a whole different thing. I mean, we saw that at the Citadel when Sam was there, right? They weren't really...
No, they didn't
come
believe
on,
anything.
come on, right?
Yeah.
But I think as
And it's like Northerners
continues
are
to
these
get out-
kinds of guys. It's like it's on the other side of the world.
But I think as word gets out, I think, it happens and people will start to believe it. But I'm with, unfortunately, I'm with you. I think John dies in this episode too.
Right.
Because I don't think we're looking at a happy ending.
No, I don't think we're
Because
looking
if
at
we
a
were
happy
looking
ending.
at a happy ending, you would have the wolf and the dragon being together.
Right.
Like that would have been the perfect marriage of how Dany can sometimes be tyrant, quote unquote, wise. Sometimes she's like that. She was like that when she lit up Marine.
Right.
It just was okay because she was the breaker of chains.
Right.
She didn't have any problem killing anybody.
No.
John has always
But
been
then
this.
she didn't. She decided not to kill all these masters too. You know what I mean? Like after she took her revenge on the kids, counting 136 arms or whatever.
Right.
Well, yeah. So I don't know. It's just I feel like we won't get that happy ending either, and I am undecided of whether it will be Dany who dies or Jon who dies. And I feel like the way the show likes to leave you unhappy, I think Jon will die.
But that's
here's the other thing too is maybe Drogon doesn't need to die too for Dany to get, because I feel like Arya might stab Dany out of nowhere. You know what I mean? To get revenge on Jon, let's say in the last seconds of it, and then you just have Drogon hanging around. You know what I mean? And waiting for someone to claim him.
Probably would just fly away.
Right.
Because who's going to be able to ride a dragon?
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody going to ride that dragon.
See, the other interesting thing is, I mean, it'd be nice to see if there was a little snow in the belly,
See, I always thought there was. But...
And I feel like if Dany lives, which I think she will, I think we'll get Dany alive and Jon dead or something like that, because they just like to leave a bad taste in their mouth. But I feel like the follow-up story could be the son.
The offspring.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome. I think that would be cool.
Awesome.
It's funny to me, and this goes now towards like the internet and the trolls and the haters. Like, we looked at it today, and you saw the percentages of what these episodes in the 60s. I've hated this. I've hated this season. I hated this. I hated that. This episode was so boring. This episode was this. This episode was that. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just people wanting to hate to hate.
Right.
This is the same show that it's been the same show for 7 seasons. Granted, this is a sped up version like season 7 was.
Right.
It's sped up. Like, we don't have the background knowledge of some of these characters because we don't have the books.
Right.
And so they couldn't flesh out characters constantly because you didn't have those situations. So, and one of the gripes that people had in the first 6 seasons were, how come it takes Dany 10 years to get across the damn sea?
Right.
So you can't have it both ways.
No.
I thought this season has been one of the best seasons because we've gotten the character buildups in episode 2 and episode 4.
Right.
And a little bit in episode 5. Like, you cannot discount those episodes. And yet people are just like, one of the craziest things I saw last night and this morning when I was looking through, it was people talking trash about how the show has been written this season and the way that they've taken Dany and this turn. The turn has been happening. You just have to open your eyes to it. One of the things...
And I think that's the beauty of the show is that they change the character you love into a character that you don't love anymore.
That's the perfect thing.
And it's like... this is exactly what the show is all about, because you killed off the main character in the first episode. You expect some of this stuff to be happening,
and they're sitting there saying, well, you can't write to women, you don't know because you don't have any women writers on staff, and you don't have a woman directing, and blah blah blah. And yeah, would it be nice if you had women directing and women writers in the room? Probably. But they've also given you Sansa's arc, which has been amazing. And they've given you Arya, which has been even more amazing. Arya is by far the best character that they've taken from season 1 to season 8 and changed her completely from what she was as a little girl to what she is now as a cold-blooded assassin. Like, they were able to turn that, and that's because of Maisie Williams and her acting ability, but it's also the way that George wrote it for the first 5 books, and what Dan and Dave have been able to do the last 3 seasons. Like, you can't use that just because your favorite character went batshit crazy. You cannot tell me that, oh, the writers don't know how to write women. The 2 biggest characters right now still in this show are Sansa and Arya. They're going to do the most damage in this last episode. And Dany herself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Sansa, but, she's been disappointing me for a long time. But all this stuff that every single time I turn on my phone and I see something relating to Game of Thrones, it's such BS. It's the worst. It's like I'm all for hearing like theories, but then people just make up such random crap and complain about such random crap.
Yeah.
And then like on IMDb, the episode I liked the least, the build up to the battle, got the best ratings, like 8.5. Episode 4 got 6.5.
Right.
And I'm like, it was a similar, build-up episode, but it had so much more to it and so many, like, political nuances that I appreciated.
Yeah.
And it's just like Rotten Tomatoes. You can't believe anything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know whose people's opinions these are. And today, everything's surrounded by trolls. You can easily get 1,000 hits on something. You know what I mean? You can sway public opinion.
Well, and it's going to be we're going to have one of these situations where it's going to be Sopranos or like Lost, where no matter what happens next week,
right?
Even if Jon and Dany were somehow to get married and live happily ever after, which everybody wanted at the beginning of the season, if that happened, you'd have half the people that watch the show, I can't believe this happened.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Game of Thrones jumped the shark, and it's bad, and it's this, and it's that. And it's
I think I'm going to be satisfied with it no matter what. And I think it'll leave me wanting more. And that's how you know a show is a good show, when it leaves you wanting more.
Exactly.
But I am a much bigger book fan. Books are so much better than the show. I feel the show sold out like on the Dornish plot and this and that. But I'm not sore about it. I love the show. And that's how I first got into the books anyways.
Right.
But it will be great. It will leave me wanting more. And I'll be disappointed when it's gone, not because of the way they did it, but because it's so good.
But there might be a part of you that is disappointed.
Yeah,
because there's been so many characters that you're emotionally involved with, right? Like, if Jon dies, I'm gonna be disappointed,
right?
But that's because I was the same way when George wrote the book,
right?
And I felt like, like Jon died,
yeah.
Like all he feels is cold,
right?
And I'm like, I like almost like closed the book, and I was just like mad for the rest of the day. And it was the same, obviously with the Red Wedding and things like that. Like, when you come across these emotional parts of the episode, like, they're going to make you feel something. When you have the Hound and Arya talking on the map before he goes up the stairs.
That was a really good
that was
scene.
the emotional part where you feel like he's always wanted to protect her.
Right.
Like he always felt something, because you got that same feeling when he was talking to Sansa in the episode before. Like, that's how I felt. Like, he was always there to protect both those girls. And that hit. Even when Jaime is talking to Cersei at the end before, and we can talk about it, if that was a good death or not, the lead up to the crumbling of the dragon tombs or whatever those are, like, what they were saying to each other made you feel certain things. It made you feel like, Jaime's always loved her. Like,
right. And a little bit disappointing that he didn't go there to kill her. But I guess it kept true to their whole like they were no matter what they always came back together.
And Cersei had that little turn again where you're like, damn, I kind of feel bad for her.
Yeah. But and maybe they can just make a life somewhere on the other side of the sea. No.
She would have never done it.
No,
she would have never done it. But
it's like when serial killers are going to get executed and they regret everything they did. It's like, no, you're not. Yeah. If you didn't get caught and aren't right here, right now, you would not be doing this. She had her chance to back out 1,000,000 times.
She did, or help.
Right. And by the way, what I, criticizing the show, totally felt like it was so cheap how they made the dragons look vulnerable. An episode ago, with 10 ships, take out one dragon, and you don't get any retaliation.
Right.
And then you have one dragon annihilate the entire city.
Well, it's one of those things, like you said it yourself. Like, how did she not see those ships from that point of view?
Right.
She should have been able to
around, do anything.
Or, just don't fly away pissed. Fly back around, burn those ships up.
Right. Well, and I was thinking, like, okay, even if, fine, they can swoop around and whatnot, but it's like you go from the top and you fly straight down.
Yeah,
those things don't have the
they don't have
angle.
90. Yeah, they don't have a 90 degree.
Right.
And they can't. And they showed it last night, which was cool. They showed them trying to
adjust.
Oh, I got to go 45 degrees, or I got to go 20 degrees, or I got to do this, I got to do that. It takes them too long. By the time that they were able to get it into position, Drogon was already at a different angle and about to light their ass up.
Right.
Which was awesome.
Right.
So
and the first part of the battle when she lights up all of the different
all the scorpions,
and the wall. Awesome.
Yeah.
What about the wildfire? You think that's Cersei's doing, or is that just old deposits?
No, I think it's
before?
just old deposits. I think the wildfire was just old deposits from, wherever it was within the city limits. That
was a nice touch.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
And just to give, our dying people a shout out, Hound Mountain scene.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it.
About what I expected.
Right. I just wished, I wish the Hound lived and became a hero.
Yeah, it would have been nice. But he did become a hero, though. Like, he was a hero once he started taking care of the girls. He became a hero.
Right.
Because even when he was Joffrey's whooping boy, he was still, he wasn't going to let him mess with Sansa.
Right.
He wasn't going to let Arya.
He did what he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the better characters.
Definitely. Definitely fan favorite. How about Euron and Jaime fight?
It was all right.
I thought that was such a waste because aren't they supposed to be on the same team? And I know they dislike each other, but if Euron's fleet is done, why wouldn't he just leave? Why is he picking a fight now?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
It was a pissing contest between the two people that love Cersei or whatever Euron did.
Yeah. They didn't give Euron a good death. I thought Yara would have come at some point. That was a little disappointing.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's parts of it that we haven't seen these people, I don't think, for the last time. And so that's why it makes me wonder, is Dany going to, we saw the coronation, or what we think the coronation is. Does she get on Drogon and they're going to sail their ships back up to the north and be like, okay, you all better bend the knee? Because she mentioned Sansa a lot in that episode. Right.
She blames her for everything.
Yeah, and so it makes me wonder.
Spinner.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if it's going to be okay. Look, I'm here now, so let me see you bend your knee because I'm the queen.
I wouldn't be surprised if whatever goes down happens in Winterfell rather than King's Landing. They just sullenly accept her, coronation, and then. Yeah, something's going to go down.
All I know is, man, we got one episode left. And
it's supposed to be a long one.
I hope so.
And there's depends on how you want to end it, but you could wrap this up in 5 minutes after this battle, right? You could just put her on the throne, call it a day.
Yeah.
Or you could have something else.
Well, and that's the thing. We know we're going to get something else. Mm-hmm. We know we're going to get something else. We know that it's not going to end this way. It's not going to be in a nice little bow. Something's going to happen that's crazy. People are going to die. We know this. The thing about it, how does it end? Does it end, like we talked about this morning, does it end with a 10 years ahead, fast forward, this is where Westeros is?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to end that way, but
Or
I
does
would think
or
that...
does it end in the way that I want it to end, with Sam writing a Song of Ice and Fire? I want it, man. That's how I want it to end.
Pat, I think you've mentioned it enough. I think...
Well, I'm waiting for
people
Dan
know.
and Dave to like, just write it into the show. Like, listen to us. It's Blackjack Movies,
Okay.
man.
Who's going to
Kings
sit
of
the throne?
Westeros here.